Hey,
How you doing?
I'm doing all right. How you doing today?
I am blessed. Thank you for asking. I'm
Wonderful.
really I'm really glad to have you on. As last time we spoke on my podcast, the energy was just flowing. You had so much great insights, and I'm like, okay, we definitely have to bring this on my Friday Flow, which is my live for my Instagram, because what you were teaching, there's a lot of people that are going to unpack and learn from. But before diving in, I just want to introduce you to my community. I'm going to do the same to your community. So Ashley Ann is a top entrepreneur and a social media expert who's helped literally thousands of people grow their community and monetize them with value, that's the most important thing, with value, which we're going to talk about in a second. And for your community, my name is Christopher Dedeyan, and I am a professional speaker and a peak performance business coach. So Ashley, how's your Friday going so far? Let's start off with that.
It's productive. So I'm on the road. So I'm live from my hotel bathroom today. So I can make sure we can make this happen.
Oh my God. Okay, so first of all, thank you for the commitment. Where are you on the road exactly?
I'm on my way back home. So I'm in Memphis right now. So I'm almost there. I'm just a couple hours away from home.
Okay, cool. And if I remember correctly, you are from Tennessee? Is that
Little Rock. I'm from Little Rock.
Little Rock. Okay, okay, I was a bit off. All right, very cool. So let's dive in because, like I said, for me, every single time I speak to an expert that has to do with socials and how to grow a community, my first question, which is the one I'm guessing I still haven't figured out, I always ask is, how do you stand out in a very loud marketplace that I feel like right now we're kind of getting overstimulated by people being on social media and always trying to get some information out there. So how do you stand out as a business owner or as anybody that just wants to put value out there and grow their community in that regards?
The easiest way to stand out is one, be yourself. I see so many people out here trying to be carbon copies of other people, like mimicking their speech, mimicking what they wear, mimicking when they stream, and mimicking their language. And the reality of the situation is, whatever value you have to offer, you have a unique way that you can deliver it, and it's gonna cause other people to be able to connect with you, right? They need to be relatable. And even if someone feels like you're full of BS or they feel like you're not authentic, they may not be able to verbalize that, but they can feel it, right? And
Mm-hmm.
because they can feel it is going to create a block for you. So being yourself is number one. Number two, stop trying to talk to everybody. Stop trying to be the most popular in the room. That is not going to work for you. That's going to happen organically. Your goal is to find your 1 to 3 groups of people, aka your niches, and you speak directly to them. We don't care what anybody else has to think. We don't care what anybody else has to say. We don't care if other people are into it. We're not for them. We are for our people. And so we're just going to focus on our community. And then the third thing is try and make sure you're answering questions for your community, trying to make sure that you're providing solutions to their problems, trying to make sure that if there's something that they desire or, maybe specific challenges they're having, that you can make sure that you're a resource, not necessarily an expert, but a resource in being able to have like that solution or help them get to a desired state. If 80% of your content is focused on the customer in those aspects, as far as, frequently asked questions, what are their pain points and what are their desires? And I would say desires they're trying to reach in the next, we'll say like 60 to 120 days, you're going to win. And you're automatically going to find that you start to build your community. And not only are you building a community, but then you're going to start to build a base of buyers, right? And kind of once you get in the flow of that, that's how you start to get, droves of people that come to know about you.
Okay. I love the fact the way you just broke that down in points, and I'm just gonna repeat it so really people could latch onto certain things. So first and foremost, you said be authentic, be yourself. Don't necessarily try to copycat, and that's something actually I want to talk about in a few seconds. But first thing is be authentic, be yourself, because even though people are not necessarily able to verbalize if you're being fake, they feel it. So that's number one.
Mm-hmm.
Number two is speak to a specific niche, a specific audience. So essentially the concept of niching down to blow up, which is something that I think like you kind of alluded to, a lot of people have a hard time with. I know that I did so much and I'm still working on to knowing what your community is and speak only to them. That's only your clientele, and then it blows up. And then the third aspect was really being aware of answering, being a resource, being helping, and essentially bringing value to your community. So I love that. I am all for it. Now, the first question that I kind of had on that first point when you said be yourself, don't necessarily copy people, which I'm 100% for. But what would you speak to the people that say success leaves clues, right? So if you're somebody that is in a specific industry and you're looking at somebody else do something that you want to do and is similar, isn't it good to look at them and learn from them and kind of use them as a template in a certain sort? Like, what would you speak to that? Is that correlating it in the right way, or you're saying do it differently?
I do agree that success leaves clues, but there's a different thing. There's something different about being inspired by someone than just trying to take someone's whole entire stilo or personality, right? Or the exact way that they do it. So this is the thing, if there's money to be made in an industry or in a spot, there's going to be people there, and you're going to start to find lots of people there. So that's not necessarily what the issue is, but there's a way that you're going to be able to see it. There's a way you're going to be able to perceive it. There's a market of people that maybe these other people are ignoring, right? So a really good example of this is Rihanna with Fenty Beauty, right? There were tons of other beauty brands. There were tons of other makeup brands out there, but there was no one specifically just saying, hey, we're going to create this higher quality makeup for minority women and specifically Black women that's going to go into the undertones and the deepness of the range and the color, right, combinations and things that look good specifically for our skin. And this had gone on for years and years and years and years with huge brands literally ignoring Black women, right, when it came to beauty and makeup products. So was there money to be made in the beauty industry? Absolutely. But when Rihanna came into the market, she didn't try and copy any of those other companies. She said, these are the products that are needed, right? So yes, that's a template. We need foundations, we need concealers, we need moisturizers, we need highlighters, right? Those are the things that we need, but no one's making them for this group of women, right? No one's making them with these undertones. No one's making them with these depths of colors. And so she went in and she looked at her niche and she focused on us. She didn't focus on anyone else. She focused on us and said, this is what I'm bringing to the market. And boom, then there's a $1 billion, right, company. And then all of these other huge players that were in the market then tried to come in and copy and replicate what she was doing. But she had already built in a big brand loyalty, right, with us. Then you turn around and you see these other major companies that have been around since I was kids. All of a sudden they're failing because they ignored all of these minority markets. And so, yes, success does leave clues, right? This is a profitable industry. These are the products that are needed, but I guarantee there's someone out there not serving a specific group of people. I fall into that category. The industry I'm in is dominated by white men, you know, and then here's this little Black girl from the country, Southern accent, big eyelashes, and guess what? I was able to talk to a whole sector of people that no one else was talking to about business and development and, you know, getting your capital and growing your money and those sorts of types of things. And so for me, that worked. I didn't focus on trying to talk to everyone else because there was already somebody talking to all those other people, but there was no one speaking to people that look like me, that come from where I come from. You know, there was no one really speaking to a lot of us that got to get it out of the mud. Like, we really got to start with a couple of dollars and an idea, right? There was nobody saying, this is how you do this with a little to nothing. You know, people bring me on shows all the time and they have all these super huge high ticket items, and there's nothing wrong with high ticket offers. I have high ticket offers, but the reality of the situation is the majority of the people that I know, they come from my hood, they come from my country, they come from where I'm from, they don't have $10,000, $20,000, $30,000, you know, to start building their businesses with. But if I created something that was accessible for them, right, $7, $27, $97, it grew, right? And now I'm a force in the industry, right? And I'm well respected, but I came in not trying to be like other people. I don't speak like any of them. I don't dress like any of them. I don't use the same repertoire of language any of them use. I'm myself, and I communicate with my people in a way that they can understand. So, you know, yes, success leaves clues. Look at the templates and look at the models, but you figure out how you can deliver that in an authentic way.
Let's go. Like, I love what you just spit over there, because it's honestly the truth. Like you said, you have to be aware of what's happening in the marketplace, but you have to be aware of who you are. And like you said, not necessarily change all of who you are, just be the best version of you. That doesn't mean changing a vernacular. That means looking at what is the best way to communicate for your audience and be aware of that. And the Rihanna example that you gave with the beauty products, I think is just beautiful that you are able to understand that. Now, if we take it back to when you started to get into this, because at a certain point you didn't have all these followers, you were
No.
at zero, but you had the idea, like you said, right? You started from the mud, like in your own words, and you're like, hey, how do I get out of this? How do I start that? Now, you gave us three top examples previously of how to approach the growth of your business, but what are certain tactical tricks that you did on a daily basis that got you that community? Were you posting consistently? Were you doing lives consistently? Were you going on other people's platforms and commenting and engaging to gain community? What was some of the tricks and methodologies that you'd used to grow your network, essentially, in your community?
So one, I show up every day. You know, you can't expect a customer or a client to show up for you if you're not willing to show up for them. And I think sometimes people are just so focused on the sale, they forget about building a relationship. I don't want a one-time sale for my customer. I want to be their lifelong, advisor and my resource. And I want to help their cousins and their kids and their friends and their friends' friends and all of that. I want to actually be a relationship. And when they don't have anything, don't need to purchase anything from me, but maybe they have a question or they're wondering about something or they want to know what the next step is or they need a referral. I'm really pleased that we have an environment where they come and they ask us, hey, should I work with this person? Hey, this is what I'm trying to do. What's the best company? Who should I go and speak to about this? So that's really key for me. And I think that's key in any business, like actually trying to build a relationship and where you're not just so focused on selling to people that you forget about the people, if that makes sense. So I showed up every day. I live streamed on a regular basis. I tried to post in between 3 and 6 times a day. I did not try and focus on every social media platform because that was too much and too overwhelming. I just picked the 2 that I like the best. And, I claim my name everywhere, but on those 2, that's where I really focus my attention and my energy. Instead of doing that, we would, back in the day on Periscope, we had these things that were called scope trains. And so you would get 4 or 5 creators together and we would focus on one specific topic. And all of us would only talk about it for in between 10 to 15 minutes, right? Because the idea was to do it during a lunch hour. And so I may kick off the train and then there'd be the other 4 people in there with me and they would all share to their audiences. And then I would talk and I'd be like, I'd say, Chris is up next, right? And so then I'd be like, Chris, put a bunch of hearts down here in the comments so they can follow you. Then everybody will follow you. And I'd be like, all right, y'all, I'm logging off. Let's all go to Chris's, right? So we were building like that with complementary businesses instead of just kind of traditional one-to-ones. Participating in panels always was a big help. And then the last thing that I did that I don't think a lot of people really tap into, I went and I found people that already had the audience that I wanted to reach, and I offered my services to them for free. And I said, in exchange, this is how much this costs. I don't want to charge you this. I think that you're going to be valuable in helping me grow my business and getting more clients. So instead, I would like to work for you for free. And what I would like is whenever you see me live or if I'm doing something like a promotion, if you could put my stuff in your stories, if you could post it on your page. And when I'm on the live, come into my live, stay for 5 or 10 minutes, invite your people, and you don't even have to try and sell me. Just let your people know that I exist. And so that worked tremendously for me. So those are tactics that I started using in the beginning, and they didn't cost me any money.
Okay, so I love that. Thank you for sharing some of those tactical approaches. And one thing as well that you mentioned, because like I alluded to previously, this social game could become really overwhelming because there's a lot out there. And it's, some of them kind of the carpet gets pulled under you. You're like, oh, wait a minute, the algorithm was doing one thing and now it's doing something else. Oh, now it's something else. And so it's this always moving environment. But the fact that go to the ones that you love and go hard in that one and just develop it with authenticity, I think is a great way to go about it. But at the same time, still being aware of what is happening in the marketplace. Now we're on Instagram, that's great. But there's a lot happening in TikTok right now that we still have to be aware of. Hey, wait a minute, there's some opportunities there. There's some possibilities there. So I love the fact that you had that approach and you were collaborating with people too, which is hugely important while you're doing lives, while you're giving your services for free and so on. So actually, I do know that like we're mentioning, you obviously you're a social expert and you help a lot of people with that and you have kind of a coaching service with that. But I know that that's not the only thing you do as well. You have a service of planning events, so on and so forth. Talk to me a bit about that Did that come before the social media? Did it come at the same time? Was that a byproduct when you started growing on socials? Talk to me a bit about that aspect.
Yeah, so my event design and production company actually was before social, and it's how I learned I was really good at social media, and more specifically, social media conversion and the when it comes to sales and list building. And I didn't recognize it necessarily as a gift. When I first started, I was just like, in my head, I just thought everyone could do it. But social media worked so much better for me than all of the traditional marketing mechanisms, and it was way more cost effective. So I do luxury events and production. I've been doing that for 16 years.
Wow.
So yeah, and I love events. I love the design side more so than the planning, if I'm honest, even though I'm good at planning. I just want to show up and, throw glitter on stuff and make it pretty. Social media gave me the ability to do that, right? And so being able to answer people's questions, talk about trends, showcasing my work, the behind the scenes, time lapses of when we were flipping spaces, taking people along the, process when I'm working with my brides, or what type of clients they are, the experiences that they're getting, using all of that. So back in the day when I first started, they didn't have a term for content marketing, but I was content marketing, right? And so there was no term for it back then, but that's what I was doing. And so because people would see me doing this, they were like, okay, if I need an event, that's the girl I need to hire. That's the girl I need to call. So when I would look at what I was spending working with social media, and at the time I was really focused on organic content and pretty much Facebook ads. I think I was maybe spending like $1,000 to $1,200 a month on Facebook ads, and I was booking clients on a regular basis that had budgets in between $75,000 and $150,000. Compared to running. I did television commercials, I did radio ads, I was on flyers, I was on grocery carts, I was on mailers, I was sponsoring community events, I was doing all the mass marketing stuff that they teach you to do. It was costing me in between like $60,000 and $75,000 a month, and it was not consistent clientele. I feel like all of that is for the birds of like just trying to be everywhere. And if someone just happens to, remember you, or if they just happen to need you, then you want to be first on their mind for them to call. For me, that was not working. But me just being on social media every day and just answering questions and sharing information and highlighting my work, I was getting consistent clients with that, right? And then, putting together testimonials and running them in ads, and, partnering that with the before and the after of people seeing the transformation of the spaces, just clients out the years.
Okay, so there's a couple of things that you mentioned over here. And first and foremost, I'm going to tell you about like one of my illogical fears, and it's glitter. You mentioned glitter over there, throwing away glitter, and somebody said hashtag glitter. I do not understand the concept of glitter because it's nice, it's pretty, but then it is on your body and on your clothing for like months and months. When my niece comes in with glitter stuff, I freak out. I tell my sister, hey, bro, you have to deal with this. Do not let her come into the house like that. So that's one thing. I'm like, hey, I will hire you, but don't bring any glitter. That's one thing I just wanted to mention. But another thing I wanted to kind of correlate it to, you talked about the traditional ad marketing towards, like you said, the flyers, the TV, the radios, compared to the social ads and the Facebook and so on and so forth, and then seeing your ROI so much more predominantly present, especially with the community that has the funds to hire you for this luxury service. Now, my question is, have you seen a change in that market in regards to investing in Facebook ads? And if so, where are you currently investing your ad spend? Is it still on Facebook? Is it on Instagram, which is the same thing? Or is it on TikTok, LinkedIn? How do you go about it? And do you see different type of ROI from back in the day to now and all that aspect?
I feel like the ROI on probably TikTok and Google or YouTube ads are probably the best. Facebook, if you're just running ads at face value and you're not creating organic content, is going to be really challenging to get a high ROI. That's just my personal experience and what I'm seeing with a lot of my clients, especially once they went through that whole iOS update situation. So, when we run Facebook ads, I really teach my clients, you really need to warm your audience up to you before you start trying to sell them anything. You need to work on using ads as far as like awareness and building relationship. And then once we've crossed that barrier, we can then go and make offers, right, for them to participate through purchase. So because of that, that essentially makes your cost of a Facebook ad higher, right, than what it was in the past. Because back in the day, you really could run a Facebook ad for like $15 and you would be able to make money with it. It's not necessarily the same now. You know, now you need to spend that $15 on awareness, and you may need to spend another $15 on like getting someone warmed up to you, and then finally you can get into the $15 on an ad. So essentially that's $45, right, on something that was $15 before. I feel like YouTube is great because even though the prices are a little higher, the your life is longer on YouTube. Facebook and Instagram, people have short attention spans, and it's like kind of, it's not even here today, gone tomorrow. It's here today, gone today. Here in an hour, gone in an hour. Compared to YouTube, that stuff lives on sometimes for years. I have this one video on YouTube, and it's so old. It's like 8, 9 years old. And literally to this day, every week, someone slides in my DM, and they're like, I saw this video, and I want to know how I can work with you. From a video that is 8 years old, right?
Wow.
You don't really see that with content that's on Facebook and Instagram. TikTok is really great because they have high levels of engagement. Now, TikTok doesn't have the ability for you to target as well as you can on Facebook and Instagram, but you can get in the vicinity. And because the ad cost is so inexpensive right now on TikTok, it's worth it. And then it can start to learn your client base and your target audience.
Okay, I love that. That makes perfect sense. And one thing that you were essentially alluding to the YouTube aspect, and great story in regards to having a video that's there 8, 9 years and still getting some ROI on it, is because YouTube is the second biggest search engine after Google, and they're both owned by Google. So people go in and they type how to ... right? And then if you have answers to that, it's always going to regenerate. But on Instagram, it's like you said, it's right now, it's immediate. TikTok, it's immediate. And there's some value within that, but understanding the different type of audience per every single place can definitely benefit you to the growth of your business. So I love that aspect. Ashley, as kind of time is coming up over here, I still have a couple of questions that I want to ask you. And I'm definitely seeing that you're somebody that not only understands trends, but potentially has a good understanding of looking at where trends are going to come in the future, right? Kind of future pacing that. So my question to you, maybe it's a difficult one, but I do want to know your 2 cents. Where do you think the social game is going in the next, let's call it, I would say 3 to 6 months, and even that 3 to 6 months, I think is very far in the future. But where do you think the social game is going in regards to platforms, in regards to sales as entrepreneurs, so on and so forth? Now that we're leaving the pandemic in a sense as well, like we're very much obligated to be on socials and on this digital world, which we still are, we still were before that. But now I feel like we're going more into the in-person aspect. So where do you see the future of that digital side going for business owners?
For business owners, I think you need to think of social as just a meeting ground. This is a place for awareness. Your goal is to get as many of your people that have come across you or become aware of you, try and get as many of them as you can into your private communities. I also feel like there's going to be some decentralization. And what I mean by that is back in the day, all of us probably had like 8 to 10 websites that we would go check every day. You know, you go into your little URL and you put in these websites. And then when social media happened, instead of us going to all these individual websites, it was like everybody's platform got put into one place. They all got put onto Facebook. They all got put onto Instagram. I have been noticing this trend probably for the past 18 months of people just kind of being over it, and they really like going into their own communities, right? So I'm noticing a real high uptick inside of Discords. I'm also noticing, if people do have apps and they want to be able to support their favorite creators in that way, they absolutely positively are moving into the private like groups and memberships. So I think it's going to be very important for everyone to have one of those and maybe have it connected to social. So that's a front entryway. for your audience members to be able to get to you. Also, a lot of people aren't really talking about this, but when I look at TikTok, I see them gearing up to try and be in the realm of like a YouTube. And I'm noticing, you know, the push with longer form content that they have there. And I'm noticing how they're changing like the editing tools. So I do think maybe not in 6 months, but I think in the next 12 to 18 months, we're probably going to see YouTube having full channels and I'm sorry, TikTok having full channels, kind of like YouTube. And I think that you're going to see, you know, a lot of really brand exclusive deals, or if there's exclusive content that's made just for TikTok, I think you're going to start to see a rise in that.
Okay, so that is interesting. So essentially, one platform developing a certain way, and then looking at how can we go and kind of go to the giants. Because YouTube, unless I'm wrong, I don't see that going anywhere anytime
No,
soon. There's way too much content
YouTube's
value
not going
there.
anywhere. No.
Yeah, it's not going anywhere anytime soon. And even other stuff that come up, it's still going to be a solid figure there. So I guess, like you said, TikTok developing certain aspects that are similar to YouTube does make sense in that regards. And the aspect that you mentioned as well, the Discord world or the private community of like, hey, you have a free community and then you have a paid community is getting very much more predominant in our social world and all that aspect. So, and essentially, I think what it does for me as a consumer, what I'm noticing is it diminishes the noise. Like if you're going on a Discord and it's specifically one place, you're not getting a bunch of other random stuff, random messages. So you could be more concentrated on that one particular thing. So Ashley, this being said, like I said, I do want to be cognizant of your time over here, and knowing that you're in a trip and you're in a bathroom over here. The last thing I just kind of want to ask you is, where's the best place that our audience could communicate with you if they're interested to potentially have you as a coach in that regard, or use your services for their any event that they want to put together? Where's the best place that they can communicate with you?
Yeah, absolutely. Text the word commas with the letter K, KOMMAS, to 501-285-8966. That's 501-285-8966. That is my free community. It will alert you of when I'm doing free trainings. I also tell you what type of trainings we're doing. Also, I give out like free marketing plans. We do free mindset manifestation trainings inside of there too. If you're outside of the United States and you want to join the community on Instagram, just click the link in my bio and scroll down to my free 99 section, and you'll see a big button that says join the Royal Court. And you can click there, and then I'll just email you until my new app is developed. And then we'll all be there like one big happy family. But that's the best way. And of course, I love hanging out on Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube are probably my favorite platforms right now.
I love that. I love that. And somebody saying your comma club is amazing as well, Ashley Ann. So congratulations for all that. Everything you mentioned will be in the show notes below. Ashley, once again, thank you very much for joining me on this conversation and just sharing your wisdom and your energy with the community. Keep up your phenomenal work. And if there's anything that I could do to support you, please let me know.
Thank you so much. Thank you for having me on this Friday Flow.
Yeah, my pleasure. Have a great one.